Games. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Board games, that's what I'm talking about. Board games, board games, I'm starting off my morning. Board games, with a bit of singing. Board games, today is a review. Board games, it's not a game that's new. Board games, it's from copyright 2009. Board games, this is a game of mine. Board games, it's wits and wagers. Board games, everybody writes answers. Board games, then you put the answers in a row. Board games, and you don't know which answer is the closest without going over. Which answer is the closest without going over? That is the wager part of wits and wagers. Board games, that's what I'm talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Board games, wits and wagers. Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. If I squish that a little bit further along, I guess I have to hold that still in my hand. And just to let you know, I am Bez, and it is, at least in the UK, approximately breakfast time. And I am blethering, and this is a board game, as are these and whatnot. And so it is the Bezzy Breakfast Board Game Blether. And I hope that you're having a decent morning and that you're managing to still find some sense of joy in your lives and have things that you're looking forward to, have things that you've enjoyed. If you're, let us know. Anyway, that is Bezzy Breakfast Board Game Blether. Now, we've got a bit of a schedule. As you can see, Tuesday, 10 a.m, I'm reviewing Wits and Wagers. Tonight, I'm doing the Tuesday trials. And tomorrow, it's going to be about Couple. And Thursday, I might review this. Because why not? So, Wits and Wagers. My box says it is 4 to 20 players. It says it's teaching time 2 minutes, which is not a thing that lots of boxes tell you. It says it's about 25 minutes to play. And ages 10 up. We'll decide whether we agree with that. It's the most award-winning party game in history. Do I think it deserves all these awards? Is it really good? I mean, since when was it published? 2005. Since then, have things improved? You know, is this the best version of Wits and Wagers? We'll talk about the other Wits and Wagers. Anyway, that's for a little bit later on. And good morning, Alan. It is lovely to see you, as always, in the comments. If you are watching this and you're enjoying it, then please do comment. Please do let me know you're watching. It means a lot. And I should actually change that banner from like follow. So yeah, comment it, share it with all your friends. Let your people that you think might be interested to know about the show and thumb it, like it, and follow me on Twitch. That would be really appreciated. And hello, Will Cook. It's lovely to see you. Now, we have to first of all talk about brilliant things. Brilliant things. Here's a little thing that is brilliant. Brilliant things. I want to talk about holes. I mean, oh my goodness. Holes. I mean, anyone can make a hole in theory. I mean, if you have a substance soft enough and, you know, a tool that's hard enough, even your fingertips or your nails, you can make a hole through a thing. I mean, I could make a hole through this sheet of paper if I wanted right now. I mean, I'm sure that you believe me. I'm sure I don't need a demonstration, but I am strong enough to tear through a sheet of paper. Anyway, in all seriousness, holes, I mean, it's like, it's one thing where the more you try, you can't remove it. If you cut it out, then it becomes bigger. If I had a hole in fabric and I cut it out, it becomes even bigger. It's like that old riddle: cut me out and I only grow. What am I? But yeah, holes. I mean, you've got a hole in this table, which is presumably for some sort of shady umbrella or something, although we don't have a shady umbrella for this table. But holes. I mean, if it weren't for pen lids, then where would we be without holes? All our pens would be drying up. I mean, if it wasn't for holes, like in one sense, any concave surface, this box lid is constructed around a hole. And, in one sense, without your mouth as a whole to consume food and your other hole to kind of defecate, holes, really awesome. They are good things. So, yeah, holes, brilliant. And thanks, Will Cook. It's just all about appreciating the brilliance that is around us every day. Now, anyone feel free to join in and tell me what is your daily highlights. Daily highlights. Listening to music and seeing sights. Daily highlights. Daily highlights. For me, yesterday, it was probably, I'm trying to remember what I even ate. Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. I had a nice breakfast yesterday. I had a couple of bananas chopped up, a couple of peaches, I want to say, chopped up, and then a little bit of that cinnamon cereal. I forgot what it is, Curiously Cinnamon, something like that. What I like about Curiously Cinnamon is that it's just overloaded with sugar, but a little bit of it goes a long way. So mix it all together with a bit of milk. Boom, nice breakfast. And that was a good thing. Been listening to a bit of rap that's been recommended to me. So for me, that is my daily highlight, as well as, of course, going to see Chris and McCall, who are parts of my bubble, and playing games with them. Yay, 4 holes indeed, Jess. And Will Cook finally slept after a week of really bad insomnia. I'm really sorry that you're suffering in that way. It was so bad I couldn't think or eat and was literally ill from tiredness. So glad to have gotten 7 hours sleep finally. Well, I hope that you'll be getting at least 7 hours, if not more consistently. Lots of love out to you. What are your daily highlights? Feel free to share them in the comments. Nothing is too small or too big. Just sharing in each other's joys, hopefully. Now, games we've been playing. And again, feel free to tell me. Games. What have you been playing? What are their names? Games. Okay, I'm going to talk about 4 games that I played. I think I might have played like 1 turn or something on Board Game Arena. I didn't spend very much time on that yesterday. So firstly, I don't know if you can hear that. There's a little bell in this box. We played this. I don't know if I'll ever play it again. I probably won't. It's a nice game. It's a real... You know what? Chris and I afterwards had a big discussion about a lot of issues with the game, that it was badly developed in several ways, but it's just... You've got 50 cards of content that are things like, look at the player on your right and ask, how many legs has an octopus? How many legs has a spider? How many sides has an octagon? Does a fly have 8 legs? Does a fly have 6 legs? Are maggots baby flies? Do fishermen use maggots as bait? Is it true that they suck the maggots first? Would you suck a maggot? Really? And so the other person has to answer all 10 of these questions. And going through these questions, if you ever say yes or no, or you repeat an answer, then you lose. We had to add a house rule that you have to actually answer the question. You can't just say random nonsense. For example, Chris did the first time, and we said, well, you need to actually legitimately answer the question. This was a really nice experience. We played through all of the cards. At the end, it kind of rewires your brain. And Chris was saying how, for them, it's almost felt like, they were instantly, even after the game finished, really anxious about saying yes or no. Whereas me, every time I won, and I was like, oh, I can't say yes or no, I can't say yes or no. Oh, you got the card, yes. So as soon as my, questioning is over, I was so happy. We played Card Line Animals. interestingly, we finally got through the entire deck of cards, at least for this box. And this is the one with the more basic animals with La Vache and Le Ours and Le Tigre, because for those who don't know, that's the cow, bear, and tiger, but this is the French version. This is a really nice game. Slight timeline, putting it in order. You've got the weight, the length, or the most interesting one is the lifespan. And it's just nice to learn about animals. And yeah, we played that a couple of times. We played a game that I invented for the L deck, which is about doing things reversed, which we're going to play communally tonight. You've got 16 letters, you do things backwards. I'll explain that tonight if anyone's watching. Yeah, this one is a little bit more complicated than most of the L games, but I'll be interested to hear what folk think about it. Basically, you have to use all the letters, and if you don't, you're basically not going to win. But you can use literally as many wild cards as you want, and the scoring is basically how few wild cards to use. And finally, we played Dice Alias, which is a nice game. Yeah, we'll probably play it again. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit more than I thought I would. This is the first time playing. Roll a bunch of dice. I'll actually give you a quick demo because it's just so fast. You basically roll a bunch of dice, and then I'm going to play this with you. I know I've missed some comments. So let's say with these dice, can you see them? I'm going to say a word. I'm going to think of a word. And okay, this alias. So I now have a word in my head, and I'll say, okay, alias. This is a word that describes something that a dog does when it's sticking out its tongue and it's breathing heavily. So you've got to think of the word. Oh yeah, pant. Alan Howardson got it. Well done. Yeah, so that was pant. And that's basically how the Dice Alias works. There's a little bit more to it than that, but it's good fun and quite a simple game. And that is what I played yesterday. Sorry you don't get a prize. You know what's your shouts Howitz is your prize. Alan Houghton is a person. Alan Houghton rhymes with person. So singing a song as I sing along about Alan, the person is... I was going to say simple, but maybe it's not. Anyway, so that's your prize, Alan. Anyway, so that is games that we've been playing. My God, and we've got so many other joys recently. That's lovely to see. Alan Howitson got to... Aw, Alan, that's the best prize. Oh, that's so sweet of you. Alan Howitson got a 3D printer delivered. Awesome. And yeah, Will Cook got to play the expansion to Euphoria. Is that the really new one that they made like about 2 years ago? Like within the past 2 years, I want to say. Yeah, I heard about that. I'm quite curious about that. Yeah, so that is what we've generally been up to. And it came out at Essen 2019, apparently. Yeah. So, I'm not one of these people who's great with dates. And anyway, so let's talk about now. I hope that you're obviously enjoying the Euphoria expansion. But in any case, let me clear the table and let's talk about Wits and Wagers, which is, my box says 4 to 20 players, 25 minutes, ages 10 plus, designed by Dominic Crapuchettes. Crapuchettes. I'm sorry, Dominic. I can't say your name properly. I know that it's French. And it's published by North Star Games, which is also Dominic's self-publishing company, which has been mega successful. This game is very successful. It has sold over 1 million copies. It's a big thing. And it's won all of these awards. So what are these awards? Party Game of the Year, according to Games, Major Fun Award, the Toy News, the Toy Man, Editor's Choice, but then Board Game Geek, Golden Geek, and the Mensa Select, and the Xbox official Xbox magazine, editor's choice. There you go. I guess there was an Xbox version at one point. Yeah, I remember that on the original Xbox or maybe 360, there were lots of sorts of board game things that you could play online. And this is anyway, this is won a lot of awards, so well done to them. This is an edition from 2009. That's when it's copyrighted, and I am going to say that you cannot buy this exact edition anymore, but you can buy a very similar version which has, I think, 200 questions as opposed to 700 questions. And I'm going to go a little bit into the history of it, as far as I'm aware, a little bit into what it represents, why it's really good, why I think it's better than Trivial Pursuit. Yeah, and, you know, where exactly the balance is between the wits and the wagers. Now, the name kind of tells you a little bit about the game. It's about wits and wagers. I should have put an ampersand rather than A and D, but anyway. So the wits refers to asking a questions, and the questions are going to be things that people don't know. And then the wagers is betting on who was. So, look, 1, ask a question. Everybody writes down a guess. 2, place your bets. Which guess is closest? And it should really be closest without going over. That's the key thing. It's closest without going over. Feeling confident? Bet on your guess. Think a friend knows better? Bet on her guess. No idea? Bet on any guess and hope you get lucky. Happy that they're using her rather than his in this day and age. I would suggest they use the third person gender neutral term there. But, you know, I really like the fact that because, you know, everything seems to default to the masculine form of pronoun. So yeah, having something that's different is quite nice. And it's got some example guesses. So clearly these are what they think are the best, some of the best questions. In inches, how tall is the Oscar statuette? In how many pounds did the heaviest ever sumo wrestling champion weigh? These are all questions that no one will probably know the answer to, and that's kind of the point, that no one knows for sure. I mean, maybe someone knows in what year MTV played their first music video. Maybe someone knows, but realistically it's all going to be a guess, and it's just betting on who you think is the closest without going over. And so if you think, oh, that, and then it's got like a little bit of the social aspect where, oh, if that person knows about MTV, I think I'm going to bet on them. And hey, if someone in my group actually knows American football, then I'm probably going to bet on them for question 3. How many feet wide is an NFL football field? What else does it say? Winner of over 20 awards. It's perfect for parties and large family gatherings. You know, sure, I'm going to broadly agree with that, although I will say that the newer versions are better. This is an example of what's in the board. You get teaching time 2 minutes, apparently. So if it's 2 minutes, maybe let's see how long it takes me to teach you right now. Let's see, I've got a little counter. So it's on. Let me first show you what to get in the box. Okay, so I think at some point in history, because this is my personal copy, I've had it for 11 years, I might have, and I've played it to lots of places, I might have lost the cover for this manual. I think that this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. I think this was originally a 12-page manual, which seems like quite a lot for such a simple game. But you do have a lot of superfluous pages. You've got this one, which is about the people, which I quite like. Okay. There's Dominic Crapuchettes, who made the thing. There's Nate Healy, who contributed to it. And there's Satish Pilalamari, who contributed a lot of trivia questions. And there you go. It's quite cool that you've got all these people and it shows their face. Now it's got, this is how you play. It's not actually the simplest game. There's like a good bunch of, but there are a good bunch of examples. So really, you could argue that the rules are only 2 pages, but with extra pages for the examples, and then another extra page to advertise Say Anything, and then another page to have helpful hints on the back. And gets this little catalogue, which I actually think is insanely cute, because this was back when they didn't have that many games, North Star Games. This was back in the day. And then it's just like this little cute illustration. How lovely is that? And it's like, you know, little smiling faces at the bottom. And hey, I mean, I don't want to give this one up. And then you've got all the people from the company with little drawings. I mean, I don't know who illustrated this, but that's really good. And well, I mean, this is completely superfluous. Normally, when you get to a game and there's a catalog, it's like properly a catalog. Hey, here's 20 other games. Try to get you to buy them all. But this is almost just like making you love the game that you already have even more. And it's like saying, okay, we've got 2 other games. We've got Say Anything and Wits and Wagers Family, but yeah, it tells you about that. And then it says, okay, here's little bits about Say Anything, and here's a bit about Wits and Wagers, which I guess means that they put this into every game that they did, because you want the catalogue to be the same for every game. Here's Wits and Wagers Family, which we'll talk about in a minute, which totally changes the scoring system. And here is, oh yeah, Crappy Birthday. I think it was later retitled to Happy Birthday. That was the game of giving people presents, and then people have to guess, have to decide which was the best and which was the worst present. So that is a lovely that is genuinely the nicest catalogue I've ever seen. I might look, jumping ahead, my conclusion for this game is going to be that I might get rid of this particular version, but I feel like this catalogue just makes me smile. I'm going to keep this. This is a really nice catalogue. Well done, North Star Games. Anyway, in the box, you get this big, sheet. This is a felt thing. Someone spilt a drink over mine, which is why on the back you can see that there's a big spill mark, but it doesn't really appear so much on the sheet. And it has the odds. So 5-1, 4-1, 3-1, 2-1 in the middle, 6-1 if it's smaller than anything. You've got little thingies, dry wipe boards, which don't have any artwork on them except for the logo on the back, which is a thing that they changed for the later editions, but it's very nice. You've got colors, you've got, it's got a rim around the edge. It's very functional, but it would be nice if they had icons, which is something, again, I want to get back to the point that they did improve all of these things for future editions. I am just reviewing this particular edition of the game. You've got a whole bunch of betting chips, 2 per player. So the yellow person has 2, purple has 2, that's not purple, and so on. You get it. You've got these other chips, which are red, green, and blue. Red's worth 1, I think blue's worth 5, and green is worth some number, I can't remember. And finally, you've got these question cards, which is the bulk of the game. The question cards are, each have 7 questions on them. The idea is that you read the first question on the first card, puts it to the bottom. The second question of the second card, puts it to the bottom. The third question of the third card, puts it to the bottom, and so forth, until you've played 7 questions, and then that's the end of the game. Alan Outson asks, what's the smell of the game like? I would say that, this game's been opened for quite a while, so any smell will have gone. It smells slightly musty. I guess there's maybe it's a very neutral smell. It doesn't have much of an odor. There's where the liquid has seeped into the fabric, there's an interesting residue. It smells like, I don't know, it could have been red wine or something. It smells like putting my nose right on the fabric. I'm surprised that's even. Yeah, definitely. The felt has a very neutral felt smell. It's very earthy. I would say earthy. Okay, there we go. So there we go. All respectful questions are welcome here, even if they're a bit silly. Now, let's see how long it actually takes me to teach you. So our 25 and a half. Okay, so Alan, here, have this. Will Cook, here, have this. Hey, Jess, have that. Okay, Jess, you're yellow, I'm just saying. Okay, so now we're going to read the first question. There are 194 countries in the world, according to the Amnesty International, 13th of March 2007. How many employ the death penalty as of that date? So you need to make a guess and write it on your thing. So come on, Jess, write a number. I should have said there were dry whiteboard pens, but all my dry white pens I left in my room. So let's say Jess said 50, and let's say Alan said 90, and I said 100, and Will Cook also said 50. So now we put them out in order. We're going to put them around the center. So we put them in order. I can't remember whether, if all four were different, going around the circle, I can't remember whether it's that way or that way. I will have to double check, which sorting out the guesses. If it's an even number, the 2 to 1 is left open. There we go. So that's how it is. So now everyone has to use their 2 betting chips to put down your betting chips. And so, yeah, put your betting chips on who you think is the closest without going over. And so maybe Jess bets on Jess here, Jess bets on Blue bets on these people, and everyone bets in some manner and fashion. And that is the next step. Now, finally, we look at the actual number. How many employed the death penalty? It was 69. And apparently 12 countries had abolished the death penalty in the past 5 years. In the past 5 years, I don't know when that refers to. Does that refer to 2009? Or does it refer to 2007? I'm going to assume it refers to 2009. Anyway, so whoever was the closest without going over, which would have been the 50, would have gotten it. So now here we have our payouts. So looking at the rules again, the payouts. Blue gets some number of points. Blue gets 3 chips for making the correct guess. So well done, Blue, you get some things, and well done, Yellow, for betting on Blue. Yellow gets 3 to 1 odds, as denoted here, 3 to 1. And so that means that if you put down 1, you get 3 back. You can never lose these. In subsequent times, you are allowed to use the chips that you have already gathered. So let's say you had put down all this many chips, and that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you would get 15 chips back, and that would be your winnings. And that, in a nutshell, is the game. Alan, are you saying that it's terrible that so many countries have the death penalty? Which case, yeah, probably agree. So I hope that makes sense. I guess I have just taught the game. How long did that take me? It did take me approximately, I think 2 minutes is maybe if you're skilled. Also, the whole sorting out things, that's something that sometimes you might need to look up, might need to double. There have been a lot of using your betting your plastic thing. After your first round, you're allowed to use them. In, I think, the 3rd edition, they changed it so that you can only bet using your own plastic things in the final turn. Let me share the screen and let me talk a little about the history of this game. Okay. Okay, looking at here. This is Wits and Wagers. In the time since, it has been re-implemented by Gambit's. Wits and Wagers came out, as you can see, 2005. It is, according to Board Game Geek, the 40th best party game, which I am actually quite curious. I don't know what the best party games are, according to Board Game Geek. The Crypto and Code Name. I am not a fan of code names. Just one's pretty good. Time's Up, yeah, that's pretty good. Captain Sonar, it's a bit complicated. Monikers, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yep. Anyway, you don't want to hear me maybe you do want to hear me rant about the top 100 party games and my quick 1 minute summaries on them. If you do, then that's going to be another day. But, this is as defined by fairly geeky people. It says 3 to 7 players, which I find really interesting, considering that the box was 4 to 20 players. And I do also want to just show up, if I get rid of this screen momentarily, I just want to show you, this is the side of the box that I always have facing out. You can see how the color is different on every edge except for that one. Like, that's what the sun does to a game after 11 years. So yeah, that is decoloration from the sun. 11 years of being on a shelf and being played sometimes, and being played. It's a game that I've enjoyed. When did I get it? I never went into my personal history. I got this game back when I was first getting into modern board games. I think I first got into modern board games about 2008. Back in the day, like, oh wow, there's this place, Board Game Geek. Oh my god, it's got all these amazing board games. Okay, I'm going to go to this person's house. That's okay. I've shared a couple of emails with them. Hey, Ian Smith, who are you? Can I come and join you for this board game group? Yes, please come over. Went over. We played Puerto Rico and we played Lost Cities with a friend of mine. We both went together, kind of, so I wasn't just on my own. And then, Ian Smith is pretty much a friend, although we've not talked an awful lot recently. And yeah, in those days, I was like, oh, wow, there's all these games. I'm going to try and get some of these things. I got Settlers of Catan, I got Carcassonne, I got Ticket to Ride, I got Wits and Wagers, because I was like, yeah, maybe this is something that I could play with my family. It's a little bit complicated, I'm going to say, to play with non-gaming people. This whole notion of the thing, which is why they do have other versions, which is what I'm going to get into. So going back to the things, it's a quality game. It was made quite a while back. Says 4 to 7 on the box. I don't know what's up with this 3 to 7 bits. Let's look at what's presumably a new, more recent thing. So Wits and Wagers Deluxe Edition, which is what they call the version with this board. Players 4+, they don't even bother putting a cap on it anymore, because I think you've got 6. You've technically got 7 player boards, so you can have 7 teams. But I think Dominic says that their favorite way to play is in teams of 2, so that would be 14 players. I personally prefer to play people on their own, but everyone does something. I do like the idea of playing in teams of 2, and that can work quite well, especially if you're in a birthday setting, playing with people you don't know, and coming up with your own questions, which is something that I'm going to talk about, because we've got to review several things. We've got to review the components. I mean, which the components, do they matter now? Because the components have changed, but the components are solid. They are all dry arrays. Apparently, this is dry arrays as well, in case you want to write something on the back of it, so that you can do your final bets in secret. And yeah, it's decent. It's functional. It's a nice felt board. It's all good. It's good quality. Nice, and you get like these little chips, which seem like fairly good quality. They're not like big chunky casino chips, but they are, yay, good quality chips. Anyway, so we've got the components. You've got the rule set, and then you've got the questions. So let's forget about that picture for a moment. Artist, Bbbb, oh, Donner, and yeah, why aren't they in the box or manual? Maybe they were on the last page of the manual. Oh, we never decided. Do I agree with this? Do I agree with these things? This is a very haphazard review. Do I agree that it is for people 10 plus? Yeah. I think that, by the way, Alan Alton, just so you know, I prefer the pronouns, that you avoid the pronouns he or his when referring to me. I prefer she, but anyway, 10 plus. I would say that, yeah, a 10-year-old could definitely join in. I would say a group of 10-year-olds could not play the full Wits and Wagers. It's just a bit complicated. All the betting payouts, it's got quite a bit to it. I wouldn't leave them on their own, but with an adult, sure. 4 to 20, I guess. Like 20 just seems like a really, really odd number, because you've got 7 of these. I mean, if you're saying 20, then surely it goes up to 21, because if you have 6 teams of 3 and 1 team of 2, surely you would have, 7 teams of 3. I genuinely don't understand why they come up with 20. That's just ridiculous. And so thank goodness that they've come up with 4 plus recently. Teaching time 2 minutes, sorry. No worries, Alan, it's all good. And playing time 25 minutes, that's reasonable. Anyway, back to the screen, back to the stats. So, Bbbb O'Connor did a good job. Well done. People have enjoyed it. 6.9. That's a good solid score, especially for a party game. As we said, apparently the 40th best party game. We have, and it has other such things as, Wavelength Factory. Wavelength is really good. I don't like code names so much. Okay, Pitch Car, I can see. Some of these I disagree with. Some of them are like, yeah, I can see that. Anyway, so Gambit 7 was a European version that came out 3 years later. Wits and Wagers family. One of these has meeples, one of these has a simplified scoring system. So Wits and Wagers Family Edition was a version that simplified the scoring, and so you just put everything in order and you just voted on which you thought was the best without going over. If you put a little meeple on the right answer, you got 1 point. If you put a big meeple on the right answer, you get 2 points. And you get 1 point for giving the correct answer. And so that means that, and this is the components of Wits and Wagers Family. And in Wits and Wagers Family gets a dry erase board to do the scores, and that is what triggers the end game. Someone gets into that end rather than 7 questions, which to my mind is, I prefer this scoring system. I think this is better. I think it's simpler. I think it's more in keeping with what most people will expect from it. You've got Wits and Wagers Party Edition, which is kind of like a simplified version of the Wits and Wagers Deluxe, where basically there's chips, and everything else pays 1-to-1. So you put down your little tokens. I really like the artwork of Wits and Wagers Party Edition because there's these fun little people, and Elvis always bets 1, and then afterwards everyone bets on which they think is the closest without going over. You might bet on Elvis, and if you bet on the correct thing, you get 1 point for each chip. And at the final turn, you're able to bet everything, which means that it all comes down to the final turn, which means that it's super exciting at the end. But some people don't like that because they feel like, hey, why did I bother playing the earlier things? Wits and Wagers Party, I understand, is going to be discontinued, same as Wits and Wagers Yellow Edition. Now, going forwards, I did a little bit of research. So, where's Dominic Crapuchettes' thing? So, back in the day, in Wits and Wagers Deluxe Edition, Dominic was saying, yeah, we're just calling it... Dominic, we're just saying we're going to redo it, and we've got some improved things. We've got the second edition, which is actually the version that I've got, which had more betting strategy. You cannot lose. Originally, you could lose your things, and you actually lost your tokens. And apparently, you can go all in on every question, because that way the game is no longer decided by only the final question. And they increased the odds by a little bit. So instead of 2-to-1, you get 1-to-1, you get 2-to-1, and so forth. So this is technically the second edition that I've got. When it goes to the deluxe edition, just so you know, if I go to Wits and Wagers Deluxe, if we look at some recent images for the questions, we should be able to find out how the game has changed. And you can see that on the questions, nowadays there are only 2 questions per card rather than 7. What comparing old with the new? Oh, that was the very old with the one that I've got. So this is the very first edition. This is the second edition. And then we've got, come on, where's Wits and Wagers Deluxe? Anyway, Dominic talked about, okay, for this thing, there's always apparently 2 questions per card because people were playing the 7 per card wrong, and that's that. So let's get back to talking about how it's been re-implemented. Gambit 7 had very Eurocentric questions. I should point out that all these questions are fairly US-centric, because in what year was an ATM machine first installed in the USA? I mean, yeah, I understand the USA is a big country, but does literally everything have to be about the US? In an example card, okay, how many people lived in California in 1900s? American. How old was Joan of Arc when she was burned at the stake in 1431? Not American. What percentage of US residents are Caucasian? American. In 2006, what percentage of US adults had a member account at Blockbuster? American. There are 52,249 names named onto the Vietnam Veterans Memorial War in the National Park, according to National Park Service, which must be some memorial war in America. How many are of women? In dollars, how much are the 3-day tickets to the original Woodstock concert take at the park? And what year was an ATM machine? So 6 American questions, 1 non-American. And when I look at the next one, American, not American, not American, not American, 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 kind of American. So 43. So a lot of these questions, if you're outside of America, are going to be US-centric. I love the formats of the game, but that's why they came up with Gambit 7, which I believe that Ian Smith actually did a lot of work for, and it's incredibly difficult Eurocentric questions. I would personally prefer something like the easier questions of family or party, I'm quite intrigued by them. I have paid money actually yesterday to just get over a party pack. These were attempts to simplify the game, and currently these are the ones that are being sold, I believe, in Target. Epic Geek Edition was something that never came to fruition. Wits and Wagers Vegas Edition is something that just had loads more odds, so you could bet on 5-1, 4-1, 3-1, or you could say, oh, you know what, I really don't have any clue. I think it's less than that, or I think it's more than that, or I think it's and so the Wits and Wagers Vegas Edition, and you can even change your betting a little bit. I'd be intrigued to get that. That's kind of the, okay, let's have a big event, let's make it super complicated. So that's going down one road. Whereas on the other road, they have the family one, which, which we talked about with the two little meeples. The Super Wits and Wagers is going to come out in next year, according to them. We'll see whether it comes out or not. And that is, not something I'm personally that excited by. It's got asymmetric rules, superpowers, and of course, American-centric questions. That's going to be a common complaint of mine. Now, looking at all the Wits and Wagers things ever by the year published, we've got some where the year isn't there. So we've got some promo cards from Alan R. Moon, Scott Alday, Richard Borg, Ken Jennings, Bruno Feduti, and these question cards. If we look at don't look at the one with the answer, but so this is something that, this is a series of 7 questions that Bruno Feduti kind of wants to ask, and it's like, hey, here, play a game and try the questions that Bruno Feduti suggested. These are Bruno Feduti's favorite answers. So one is a bit self-promotional, one is about New York and Paris, which at least, it's about France. How many teeth does a dog have? I mean, how many standing statues are there on Easter Island? How long in years did the 100 Years' War between France and England last? How many black dots does a common ladybird have? And how old is Papa Smurf? I mean, I like these questions. I'm just going to say that I think that with the 700 questions that they have originally, I think there were arguably too many. There's a whole notion of, let's talk about legacy games, and let's talk about running out of stuff. And I assume that's in the fiction. Papa Smurf has a certain age, like Bart and Lisa, they stay at the same age, don't they? Anyway, let's talk about when Legacy was first coming out. Pandemic Legacy or Risk Legacy or Seafall or whatever. People were coming out and saying, hey, this is a terrible idea. I'll only be able to play through this game and then I won't be able to play it again. And Rob Daviau was saying, well, you get to play Risk Legacy 15 times. That's more times than most of you play any games. And I think, North Star Games, Dominic Crapuchettes said on one of those things that apparently people play Wits and Wagers on average 35 times over a 5-year period, which after 5 years, the questions in Dominic Crapuchettes' mind start to get a bit out of date. Now, the questions here, sure, they are out of date, but in 2006, what percentage of US adults had a member account at Blockbuster? I mean, it's kind of quirky, historical, I guess. It's like, hey, how was the world 14 years ago? And how many, I mean, for goodness sake, I don't even know what the Smithsonian Institute Museum means. How many of them are located in Washington, D.C., as of 2007? And yeah, lots of these questions, if you're outside of the US, you'll probably need these 700 questions in order to be able to look, okay, no, I'm not interested in that. No, I'm not interested in that. No, no. Okay, we'll go. In what year was the compact disc developed? Because we might actually care. And I guess that brings me to, yeah, if a game is going to be played 35 times and then you run out of question cards, well, that's fine because you can buy additional question cards, although I will point out that they are quite expensive. They're $10 if you're in the US plus shipping, or if you're in the UK, it costs about 25 quid to get a pack of just the questions sent over to you, which I did pay money for yesterday because I think I'm probably going to sell this. This is my conclusion. But yeah, I do like to support North Star Games, and I do think that I do like the idea of some simpler questions, and I would like to have a modern set of questions. So let's talk about the content. Let's talk about how much content a game needs. Let's talk about whether there's enough, whether it's good enough, who it's good for. I mean, it's certainly better for a US citizen rather than an international audience. I mean, it's like, yeah, if you're based in the US, all of these are going to be things that you're at least aware of. I mean, in what year was the legal US voting age lowered to 18? In what year did the New York Times Sunday edition run its first crossword puzzle? In the first phase of the Atkins diet, how many grams of carbohydrates are allowed per day? Oh my god, that's such a... I mean, it kind of such a thing of its times. Who cares about the Atkins diet? There are things that are definitely timeless. Like, in what year was the film The Wizard of Oz first released? That's interesting. OPEC is an organization that supplies 40% of the world's oil. Excellent. Quite interesting. How many countries are members? I don't know. It would be nice if it maybe also told you how many. And then, in how many miles long is the main wall of the Great Wall of China, excluding all of its secondary branches? So they do have a bunch of, international questions. Then they've got like a whole bunch of, okay, we're going to talk about Daytona, about Vietnam, about cable and average US things, about US radio, and about Jupiter, which is, okay, how many times bigger is Jupiter than the Earth? Okay, that's interesting. I kind of feel like since the dawn of the legacy era of games, there has been an acceptance of games that you're only going to play a certain number of times. So there has been an acceptance of things like the escape games, the undo games, the exit games, the escape room in a box genre, where, okay, you are only able to play this once. We have come to accept that you don't need so many questions that you can play this game literally 100 times, because am I going to play this game 100 times? Maybe, but I'm definitely not going to go through the questions that they've given me that many times. And in a way, having the more modern system, if I look at... So, going to Wits and Wagers family and looking at some of the questions... when we look at the questions, there's always two possibilities. So you might say, in what year did Paul Revere make his midnight ride to warn people that the British were coming? Or, in how many ribs are in the human body? I would probably go with how many ribs are in the human body, because I don't know who Paul Revere is, and yeah, unless you were to tell us a little bit more about that question. But yeah, the ribs, might be able to count. Someone might be able to know. And if my dad were playing, I think my dad might know, and I might bet on my dad, whatever they say. Um, and I like that system because when you've got two questions, it's like, okay, you've got a choice, as opposed to here where technically the idea was that you had no choice, that you just did, the first question and then go through. So I think they worked out that with 100 cards, like if you play 7 questions per card, that's still going to take you 15 games. It's still a whole bunch of content, and you could have little expansion packs. I honestly believe that having those expansion packs for £10, yes, North Star Games, yes, that expansion pack was the one project that lost you money. Yes, I understand that that's something that you're very shy about doing again, but it was, yeah, let, let's think about when you have a, I mean, again, going back to these personality cards, that has so much. I actually only realized the existence of these personality cards when I was looking, and I was very careful not to read the answers. And so I'm probably going to play a game with one of these personality cards. Um, and if you're hosting a pub quiz, and then you kind of think of questions, a good pub quiz should have entertaining questions. A good pub quiz isn't just in making a framework of rules that works really well. A good pub quiz is in making entertaining questions. When I ran, so a lot of people have run giant Wits and Wagers at places because Wits and Wagers is a fabulous format. Wits and Wagers is brilliant. It's okay. Everyone writes down an answer, everyone puts it in order, then you bet on which is the closest without going over. Now, exactly how you can bet, and in the forthcoming Superhero Edition, there's some extra bits, and exactly your returns might be different. So with this version that I've got, so you can remind yourself, you've got the 6-1 if it's smaller than everyone's. You've got, sorry, you've got the 5-4, 3-2, 3-4, 5, like depending on how. And the nice thing is that the median, it's like the one that people generally felt was probably going to be correct, is only paying 2-1. And that does mean that the answers that are a little bit less likely to be correct are going to be the ones that pay well. And that's the fun thing. I don't know if the game needs it. I mean, I would advocate towards Wits and Wagers Family Edition for people who are not super. If you enjoy, it depends how much focus do you want on the wagering part. I would say if you want a pack of questions, don't buy this game if you're outside of US. If you're in the UK, the questions are not so thing worth buying the game for. Most of the times that I have enjoyed this game, it has been with people making their own questions. For example, coming together, playing it at a birthday party, playing it in groups of 2, and everyone comes prepared with 1 or 2 questions, and then we learn a little bit more about each other. We say things like, okay, how many copies of In a Bind, how many games total has Bez paid money to have mass produced? And people should have an idea. I mean, it's like, okay, I'd need to work that out myself. I mean, I could actually work it out if I sat down, but then people write their guesses, and then you learn a little bit about me. Someone else might say, hey, how many miles did I run last year? Someone else might say, how many days did I spend in prison in last year? Because maybe, or in a holding cell, or maybe I might say, hey, how many hours did I spend approximately did I spend in a holding cell in, what was it, back when I was arrested for possession of scissors. True story. And these are the questions that you might learn more about your fellow players. And this is a really nice framework for it. If you're playing with those kinds of questions, and if you're playing with either one person who knows the game or one person who is willing to, you know, take the time to be the game master, and then we can lay out everything and it'd be like, okay, you get more chips this time. And there's definitely an aspect of, oh, you've won a whole bunch of chips. And it's a nice little, this is for a gambling mat. I mean, I know there's going to be some people watching this who say, oh, we shouldn't be gambling, it's teaching our children to gamble. And if that's your feeling, then absolutely play the Wits and Wagers Family Edition, because it feels far less than gambling. You don't have this notion of what's 2 to 1, 3 to 1 for what do these actually mean. And I only learned what these odds mean. The only place that they are used generally is in gambling. So I am really tempted to go for the Las Vegas edition. If I were to play this on my birthday, would I go with the family edition rules or would I go with these rules? I don't know. I mean, the family edition rules, at least they're like everyone's everyone's sort of able to understand it really quickly. I feel like I definitely know people who it would take them a couple of rounds to understand the thing, but yeah, it's a solid framework, and I would say this, as it's now known, Wits and Wagers Deluxe, it's a solid choice if you want to try a little bit of I would say, yeah, gambling, but not go all in like the Las Vegas edition. Man, clearly something's not good with my knees. I need to do more squatting or something. I've not been doing any exercises the past 3 or 4 days. That's not a good sign. Anyway, so Wits and Wagers, let's compare it. And I'm aware that I'm already overrunning. So, back to what else was made. Wits and Wagers expansion pack. They made this. This is the only thing that's ever lost their money. Wits and Wagers Family, Wits and Wagers Party. We talked about that. Board Game Geek promo pack. That's got to a couple of things. Epic Geek Edition never came out. And this is, I believe, one of them's an expansion. One of them's the actual game. And so, yeah, if you look at the original Wits and Wagers, 6.9. Then the best rated one apparently is 8. Super Wits, it's really Vegas Wits and Wagers, surely. By rank, apparently Wits and Wagers, the original, is still the best ranked, purely because it's got so many ratings. There you go. But a lot of people do like this extra mat. And it does have quite fun little things going on. And you can bet on someone even before they bet on a thing, which is quite a nice aspect. So Wits and Wagers, the components are good quality, the rules are nice, and it comes down to and they've even got adverts on the side of the box. Where it says say anything, get the expansion pack if you've played. Have you played all 700 questions? Keep playing. And yeah, I feel like people are probably going to be bored of these because, like, look at Bruno Feduti's questions. Look at let's look at the Wits and Wagers oh, hello. I can't remember what their name is, but yeah, the Wits and Wagers family. There's also other questions, and yeah, when I did a giant Wits and Wagers, it was all board game themed. It was like, okay, let's talk about board games. When Ken Jennings has their own question card, they ask, hey, okay, I'm going to make a Ken Jennings based thing, but how many games did Ken Jennings win in a row on Jeopardy? How many years did the world's oldest tortoise live? What's the world record for top bicycle speed? And these are things that these are Ken Jennings's favorite questions, which having questions that are interesting for the audience is such a big deal. And maybe you're never going to have anything that's as interesting as something that's tailor made for you. You're never going to have something as interesting as, hey, you know what? We are a group of 10 friends and we are all going to share a little bits of information about ourselves. I mean, I would love to have you all. I would love to have. I'm just going to write hi in the Twitch and see it. So I would love to have who's there? Alan, Will Cook, Jess, and me. If we had a 4-player game, and 6 other people that we kind of knew, and then we are getting to know each other, and each person's. Maybe Jess says, hey, how many countries have I traveled to in my life? Maybe Alan Outson, says, how many games did I play yesterday? And we're learning a little bit about each other. This is like the joy of a good quiz game. Now, let's compare it to Trivial Pursuit, because ultimately this game is not trying to be say anything. It's not trying to be how much money, although I will probably say that I think that Chris Bockley did an amazing job with combining that sort of system of betting on the close without going over. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Jess, that would be interesting to everyone, because everyone else would have to kind of be, oh, let's think about this, and we care about each other. Hey, Jess, no, you don't get that. Now you've ruined the answer. Now we can't have a game of it. Oh, Jess, now you'll have to think of a different question for when we actually play this game. But anyway, you get my point, that if I had, okay, we're all board game fans, and okay, here's a pack of literally only 20 questions, but these 20 questions are all about board games. Okay, here's a pack of 20 questions that are all about animals. Here's a question of, I'm guessing 0. How many cats has Jess owned? We could actually play a 1-question round. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, so I don't have. Okay, so don't tell us, Jess. Everyone has to think of the answer secretly, and I'm going to write these on bits of paper because I didn't bring my whiteboard markers out with me. Obviously, after 11 years, whiteboard markers do start to fray. I am. So, does it include stuffed cats? That's a good question. Does it include? And it does not include lions. So does it include only normal household cats, or is it include any felines? I mean, does it include stuffed toys is what we're asking. Oh, it includes stuffed cats. Okay, I've got an answer. Okay, I'm writing my answer. Okay, I'm going to, and Bez answers. Oh, I have no idea, but I'm answering this many. I mean, Alan, you can write your answer. We've still not revealed. Okay, so we're the 4 of us playing, and someone else is watching. So if you want to get involved, you can. So we've got Alan, and Will Cook. So, share your answers now. And yes, it includes stuffed cats. Guesses free. And Alan guesses 16. And I genuinely guessed 12. So if I bring this over, hopefully you can see I've got 3, 12, and 16. Now, at the same time, the idea is that literally everybody does this simultaneously. So can you see those numbers, 3, 12, and 16? Or you can guess that it's the lowest. So smaller than the smallest guess, and let me kind of fold this over, pays 6 to 1. So if you want to bet smaller, you pay 6 to 1. And let's say, I can't remember what colors people like, but tell me what colors you like, and I'll be the sorts of red. Any preference on color? Alan, Will Cook. Okay, Will Cook, you can be purple, I guess. Oh, Alan is blue and Will Cook is green. Okay. So, do your action. We put our things on and off things, and once. Okay, I'm guessing here and here, and I don't know, here. Will Cook. Alan bets 1 on me. Remember, you've got Alan bets 1 on and 1 on them. Will Cook bets on smaller. Do you mean 3 or smaller than the smallest? Because smaller than the smallest pays 6 to 1, whereas here it pays 3 to 1. And smaller than the smallest. So both of them on smaller than the smallest. Okay, while we're changing, when you say it's all done, Jess, that's it's all done. Okay, you know what? I'm going to keep. Okay, is it finished, Jess? Is it finished? So, okay, so Will Cook is bidding the same as me. Oh man, okay. So Jess, I think we're ready. What is the answer, Jess? Tell us. Come on. Oh my God. How many cats did you have? How many cats have you owned? The answer is 3. Oh, 3 real cats, 1 stuffed cat, and 1 cat pencil case stuffed with pencils. So 5. So that means that Will Cook. Oh damn! Will Cook wins. So Will Cook, you get 3 points for that, and 3 points for betting on yourself. So it's 6. I get 3 because it's 3 to 1 for betting on you. And yeah, then in future rounds we would be allowed to bet with our winnings. But if we bet with our winnings and got it wrong, then we would lose those winnings. So you get the idea. Anyway, my point is that I was invested, not just because I wanted to win, but also because I'm interested in Jess, and I'm interested in how many cats Jess might have had. And yeah, well done. And yeah, it feels like in Trivial Pursuit, there's a whole bunch of types of Trivial Pursuit because they make it more specific, because you want to be able to buy the type of Trivial Pursuit that's more fun to you. And Trivial Pursuit is, in my mind, a terrible game because, yeah, it was a good game back in the day. You're going around, you're answering questions, and then if you win, you get a little bit of points, and then you need to get all the points, and then you go to the middle. It's got so many problems. I mean, if you win, you keep going, and you might lose and never have had a chance to play theoretically. You might, I've got serious issues with that, because it's like, okay, if I don't know the answer, I just feel dumb and I've got no chance to guess. But this has, okay, it adds, obviously, this kind of betting mechanism to who do you think was the closest. And then I thought, okay, now that I've seen everyone, actually, maybe we did go a bit too high. And the notion that it's something that no one knows, okay, that's a nice aspect. It's a really nice format for a game, whether it's Wits and Wagers Deluxe, as the original is now called, whether it's Wits and Wagers Las Vegas, baby. I mean, I've not played that version, or whether it's Wits and Wagers Family Edition, as I've essentially played sometimes, or whether it's Wits and Wagers. I think that Wits and Wagers Family Edition is Wits and Wagers Family Edition is exactly the rules that I use for the Giant Wits and Wagers, where I ran the thing, and then it was all for people who are playing board games. And so, okay, everyone knows board games. Let's make it a mixture of funny questions, like, okay, how many meatballs do I have in my pocket? And people get a bit of a chuckle out of that. Okay, how many words are on the back of the code names box? Everyone knows code names, but how many words are on the back of it? It's something, and there's definite skill, there's definite playing to the crowd, and I can't just come up with 7 random questions and imagine that that's going to be interesting to people. I've got to come up with questions that are in a something that people care about. Sounds like right now everyone's got like, hey, how many countries has Jess lived in? And I would guess 5. Oh, it's 4. Okay. I mean, I'm guessing it's. Am I allowed to say, because I know you well? But and we care about this, and that's why I think that, if Dominic Crapuchettes were to watch this, and I mean, I can't remember what that place is called where it's Awesome Devet Deset. It's like, is that what it says? Awesome Devet Deset? Is that how you say 8, 9, 10? Bulgarian? Is that the language? Anyway, Jess. But my point is that, the world has changed since you did those expansions, and I think that what this really wants is something that's a bit more bespoke, a little bit more, okay, here's 20 questions, this costs you £5, and yes, you'll only be able to play it once. That's just the way it is, because the original expansion pack came out in 2009. The world has changed. And I don't think that this was the way to go. I think it was, okay, if I had 20 questions that were about gender equality, like, or just about equality, like what percentage of black people, what percent, let's say it was actually, okay, what percentage of America is black? What percentage of American police violence is committed on black folk? What percentage of, what percentage of just what percent? You could have some interesting questions about a particular theme. You could have maybe something more light. You could have a theme around plants. And let's have 20 questions about plants. You could have, let's have 20 questions about animals. And maybe each of these packs are, yeah, maybe there are 15 questions. I don't know. 18 questions. 18 seems like a good number because 18 is something that you can print several times in a sheet. And yeah, I feel like I want to have questions that I care more about. That would be my review of this game, at least for this version. I understand that for future editions, they brought it down to 200, so presumably it is going to be the better questions. So it's not entirely fair for me to compare all of these. It's better for me to. It would be fairer, and yay, Dominic Crapuchettes, if you wanted, seriously, hey Dominic, if you're watching, and if you were to offer me, if you were to send me, some sort of resources to be able to run a big Wits and Wagers game, like on, I mean, would probably also for live stream, probably Family Edition is better. I mean, now I think about it, but yeah, at which point I can't really ask for any free stuff because I just want to Wits and Wagers Las Vegas board. I'm not going to lie. I think that would be a really fun thing to play in person, where you're saying, oh, I think it's definitely smaller, and then I could make the safe choice, or I can bet, okay, I think that this person's going to, if it's the rib question, I would bet on my dad before they even wrote their answer. And then, yeah, I deserve to have more things. I think that, yeah, it would be fun to play a Wits and Wagers Family Edition. Maybe we all get together and we play it via live stream one time. That would be nice. So it does occur to me that I do like to have my morning things be more of a blether rather than a play along, because then it's kind of a bit too much overlap. But I know, Jess, you can't tune in at 8 p.m. But, during my on 1st of August and 31st of January and 2nd of August UK time, I'm planning to do some really super long live streams from maybe 10 to whenever, like sometime around 10, maybe a little bit earlier. Maybe I'll start like 9:55. I'll probably start at 10, and then I'll carry on until sometime around when it's getting dark. And then, yeah, so I'm thinking like during that time, if 8 p.m. is really 2 a.m., like maybe during the middle of the day, maybe like 12 p.m., which would be 12 p.m. would be, what time is 12 p.m. for you? I can't work it out. 12 p.m. is something. So like basically, like I'm saying, yeah, we could organize some things, and everyone comes up with questions that they know and other people don't know. And so, yeah, don't use the questions of these things, but it could be a fun thing to kind of get to know each other. And Wits and Wagers, asking questions that probably no one will know, and then guessing on who was the most correct. That's fundamentally what it comes down to. That is the ultimate broad overall view. And there are so many different Wits and Wagers in the Wits and Wagers family. And of course, Wits and Wagers family, and Wits and Wagers Party, Wits and Wagers Deluxe, Wits and Wagers Second Edition, Wits and Wagers First Edition. I think that Wits and Wagers is, whilst I might not like all of these questions, I think that they could easily, Dominic, genuinely pay me a couple of £100 and I would do the editing for you. I would go through all your questions and tell you which ones are interesting to someone living in the UK, because some of them are quite interesting. Like, okay, I mean, it's kind of, okay, what I really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. And it's not to zigga zigga. What I really, really want is just having them in a sort of vague category. So I can say, hey, let's play Wits and Wagers this pack. And maybe in future, the Wits and Wagers pack, it might come up with 18 cards is, okay, divided by 18. So you could maybe have 6 different boosters in the thing. So maybe you've got, I don't know, animals, games, science, sports, history, and celebrities. I don't know, or famous. But the thing is that what I want, again, what I really, really want is for them to kind of just, because, yeah, I don't like Trivial Pursuit where you have to get this category and that category and that category. What I really, really want is to be able to say, okay, on my turn, I'm going to choose the, let's play the game based on animals because we're interested in animals. And then if we want to play more animals, then you pay another $5 or maybe it, and for $5 maybe you get, I don't know, maybe 16, maybe 20 cards that are about animals. And, you know, maybe get something like that. I think I would be willing to pay $5 to say, okay, these are some really good questions. It's got a little bit of a description, not just in what year did IBM release its first personal computer. It might be a little bit of context setting. In what year did IBM release its first personal consumer? And then on the other side, it does have a little bit of trivia. Legend has it that when the chairman of IBM first saw the original PC, he thought that no one would buy it. And how many miles long is the Great Wall of China? While the Great Wall of China can be seen from Earth's orbit, several astronauts have said it is not visible from the moon. And, you know, having those extra bits of information or having a little bit more context. And, yeah, I just want a bit more. I just want these questions to be separated and to have questions that I care about more. That's what I want. That is my, that is fundamentally my issue with the game. I believe that Wits and Wagers, maybe one day I will review Family Edition, and if you send me Family or Party Edition, whatever is the one, because I think they're sticking with Family Edition and Las Vegas going forward. So, yep, if you send me that, Dominic, I will absolutely review it, and I'll even promise to review it within 2 years, realistically. Because it is a fun format. It's a really nice format, but ultimately a quiz game is as good as its questions. And these questions, for someone who is outside of the US, which is, I believe, everyone at least currently watching, and is a good portion of the Earth's population, these questions are just not as interesting as I would hope. I'm sorry. I really like you. I really like North Star games, but yeah, sorry. That's you. You could make this game better, and you have made this game better. I believe that, and I would like to play the new version, and I'm aware of the fact that I'm reviewing an old version, but this is what you printed, and so, you know, that's what you did. And so, yeah, people at North Star Games, it's a good game. It's a game that has brought me joy over the years, but it's fundamentally more down to the, it's more down to this thing, more down to this format of putting things in order. The actual questions that are being answered are not my favorites. They are not super exciting. Personally, if the components are good, and if you want to, I think I've already explained who this game is good for, and in a way, this also takes me back to what's the point in even reviewing some games? Because none of you are going to be able to buy this. Literally none of you. Unless I said to you right now, okay, I'm willing to sell this to you for 20 quid. I'm absolutely willing to sell this to you for 20 quid. Yeah, 20 quid. I think maybe I'll go as low as 15, okay? But plus postage and packaging. Yeah, 15 plus postage and packaging. That is, you could absolutely go and make your own version. And but if you, for some reason, want these 700 questions, if you want their felt board, which has been stained by this, then sure, sell it to you. But the notion is that the game is not just about something similar. Yes, you could make your own version of Card Line, but when you review it, it's also about how gorgeous is the art that says kangaroo, and how interesting is it? It's not just, is this a good set of rules to play with? Because the game is its rules, the game is its framework, but it's also the components. The components, the functionality, the aesthetic quality, that does inform the joy that you get. The aesthetic quality, you saw that all yourself. I mean, it's not colorblind friendly. It's not. It's. I would say it's good, reasonably good at representation. It talks about. It has like she on the back. It's. This it would be good if they talked about they use the gender neutral term, non-binary stuff. But it's fairly good in terms of representation of outside of the US. Though it's not very good. And that is the major accessibility issue, that, there's too much US-centric stuff. If, in terms of the rules, it's fairly cognitively accessible. The family version is clearly simpler. I think that I would probably just stick with the family version. And reviewing something, it's reviewing the questions, reviewing the things, and if I'm reviewing yes or no, I mean, there's entertainment value. I mean, I understand. I like the fact that you've had a bit of a chat with each other, and we've been learning about what countries everyone's been going to, and there's value in me doing that, like this live stream in that way. But yeah, when I review something that's, hey, this hasn't been sold in a shop for pretty much 10 years. Okay, what value is there? So, yeah. And that comes down to it. And I'm not going to answer your question, Alan. I just don't like the notion of, yeah. What is Alan's IQ? Yeah. Tests are so rubbish at that. Anyway, I think you already know my opinion on Wits and Wagers. Does anyone have any questions regarding the game? If not, then boo. And I would guess 105. And Wits and Wagers is really fun. And again, I would say buy the blue box, the family edition, if you want a simpler version, or if you want to go all in the thingy, buy the Las Vegas edition. But that's a lot to do with hypothesizing. And if you're in Thailand, who's going to know any of these things? If you're up north, or if you're in Berlin, who's going to care about all the US-centric stuff? I mean, I might have been overstating the US-centric stuff. It's not 90%. It's just like 60% of the game. But, yeah. Oh, and it's lovely to hear that I've cheered you up. I am going to skedaddle. If you have enjoyed this, then once again, please do thank you, Jess. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Will Cook. I think there was someone else. Oh no, it was just the four of us. So thank you everyone for just being part of it. Oh, and thank you, Freya. It's lovely to have you with us. Things to do with them. What do you mean things to do with what? I'm slightly confused there. Sorry, Freya. But thank you everyone who has been commenting along, letting me know you're there. Please do share, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumb. If you're on YouTube, give it to, or Facebook a like. If you're on Twitch, please do give me a follow. I think I'm up to 23 and 50 is the goal, because then I can start doing special things where I give little prizes away and I can gamify stuff and everyone starts earning tokens. I think that's what happens when you get 50 people, and I think so. But yeah, so for now, firstly, recap. Wits and Wagers. I've enjoyed this game. It has brought me joy. I have had a lot of fun with the format, but the questions are a bit US-centric. That's it. Oh, there we go. Wilcook says, I get channel points and can cash in for prizes like mini Bez icons. Yeah, we could start making like little emoticons and stuff and little graphics. And we could have like, I don't know, red blocks and red unicorns. Red unicorns would maybe look a bit too bloody. Yeah, we'd have to work out something that looks good. Maybe some things that are... but yeah, again, come on, North Star Games. We've got Jess, like, come on, Jess, tell Dominic Crapuchettes that you want like a Thailand-centric thing. Like, let's have, I don't know, 56 questions that are nominally about Asia. Let's have like 26 questions that are about, I don't know, each different continents, like 26 about Australasia, 26 about Europe, 26 about what's the other one? Antarctica? You probably don't want to do that. About Africa, 26. Okay, they've already got all the North American stuff. About the Middle and Southern American places. That would be cool. And yeah, stuff that's about animals. Like, frankly, someone made the point that you can you can use the card line animals or any timeline stuff. Yeah, anyway, please, come on, fewer US-centric stuff. I mean, we don't just want to say, how old is this? How old does this live to? How old does this live to? But, yeah, mixture of animals, a mixture of, okay, how many, I don't know, how many cubs does a fox normally have? I'd be interested in that. So I'd be like, is it free? I don't know, about woodland things. And yeah, you made a quiz and it was UK-centric accidentally, but that gives it a bit of personality. And I just believe that the questions have a bit of work to go. So I'm sorry, North Star Games. And yeah, I still love you and I'd still like to work with you professionally. And I hope that, but you know, that's the way it is. You know, just what's up with all these questions? Anyway, so things to look forward to. Things to look forward to. This is a section that have been put from me and you. There. Now we've got a new song. Things to look forward to. Things to look forward to. I am going to have Chris coming over today. We're going to do a bit of work together, and I'm going to be playing Q4U and what's that other game? We're going to be playing the backwards muckhole on stream tonight at 8:10. I've got some hopes, I've got some ambitions, and this is the song expressing the situation. So, daily hopes and ambitions. What are your daily hopes and ambitions? My daily hope and ambition is to make sure that Q4U, because I am going to be working on it, has things that people will enjoy. I will talk a bit more about that tonight. And what's everyone else been up to? Jess is looking forward to going to the toilet. Fair enough. Will Cook is... Oh, wow. Looking forward to sharing a video for the Loozapalooza 100th episode. Awesome. Alan Allison's looking forward to opening their 3D printer and then just looking at it. I can see the aspect of excitement, and Jess is hoping to work out. All the best, Jess. And I'm sure that something that's Terabad can still be enjoyed. Now, those are our daily hopes and ambitions. Let's all work together to make it a good day, whether it's the end of your day, whatever time of day you're watching this at. I hope you have a good following 24 hours. I hope you are able to look forward to something and enjoy something. And if you have enjoyed this, then please follow me, stuffbybez.com, twitter.com/stuffbybez, instagram.com/stuffbybez, twitch.tv/stuffbybez, facebook.com/thingsbybez, because Facebook does not let you have F and B next to each other in the URL, so it's facebook.com/thingsbybez, but you can still search for Stuff by Bez to keep my branding on Facebook. And of course, you can email me on stuffbybez@gmail.com. And the next stream is going to be, if I just delete a little bit here, it is going to be tonight, 8:10 p.m, Tuesday Trials, Play Along, Giftable, and Back Muckle. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to be talking about Couple. And Thursday, you know what? I'm going to be reviewing this. Talking about Yes, No. I've only played it once, but I think that's enough to review it. That's my personal opinion. Now, please have a wonderful day. Have a great day, or whatever. And for now, there's only one thing left to do, and that's to say bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye, everybody.